Hey, this is Ken from Coffee Crafters, and we thought we'd do a full load roast on our Valenta 12. Going to show you how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and get the system started, and then we can kind of go through some of the stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is turn on the exhaust blower. The main reason for turning on the exhaust blower is so when you load the beans, it's sucking the dust in there that comes out of that. So I've been preheating the roaster. It really does make a big difference. So on the Valenta series, one of the things we noticed, there's a big difference between a cold start and a hot start. And just to shave off some time, you know, when you start your roasting day, heat it up to 600 degrees, roast air temperature at least. And that'll help it get down towards the lower end, a little bit faster roast. So we're going to roast on manual today. Going to just turn it up on 10, let it go. So I'm going to go ahead and load the beans. We have started. So when we load the beans on this, I've been setting the loft at a little bit over 5. So one of the things with these roasters, there's a big difference in loft setting between starting loft and then where it settles in. So I'm running it a little bit over 5 right now, and I'm going to let it run there. I'm going to let it run there for at least 2 minutes. Usually about 3 minutes, I turn it down to the loft setting that I'm going to use for the entire roast. And on this roaster on full load, we'll be at about 4. On the loft dial. So when the hot air and the beans heat up, it makes a big difference in how it lofts. It doesn't take that much air to loft it, and almost all the Valenta roasters do the same thing. The loft setting it takes to establish the loft is a lot higher than what it takes to maintain it. So, So I got running about 4 3/4 right now. We'll hit that 3-minute mark. I'll turn it down and it'll be good. When you establish the loft on the next load, when you're going back to back, you don't have to use quite as much air to get it going, but on a cold start, it takes a little bit more air. So one of the things on the new series of roasters, the Valenta series, all the roasters are new for 2025. And one of the things we did is we knew our costs were going to be going up on everything to build the roaster, and we wanted to really combat that because we try as hard as we can to keep the equipment affordable. So if you see a Valenta, the Valenta 3, 8, 12, and 18, you're going to see the same type of construction. And what we do with these, we'll set up the forming equipment. And when we're running Valenta 8s, we can do 8s, 12s, and 15, or 18s all at the same time. So we run the parts one setup, run all the parts through, and it saves us a bunch of time. Another thing we did to save money this year is we changed some of the hardware. Because when we send all this stuff to powder coat, we have to have plugs in all the holes. We used to put them all in by hand, and when we send a load over to powder coat, there are thousands of them. And we have new hardware now that comes with the plugs already inserted in it. And so it makes it much, much faster, save a lot of labor time on doing that. So like with all the roasters, want to be especially cautious until you get used to it. When you get used to your roaster, you'll see the settings that you use. Those settings can be slightly different from one location to the next. Because of altitude and true line voltage. So want to make sure that the beams never stop moving. So as long as you see them moving down the window, you look at that bottom window, they're basically fine. So I'm coming up on 3 minutes now, and I can go ahead and turn that loft down. So I got the loft running at 4. And now I can just leave it there. So yeah, the assembly time on these, much faster than our other roasters. So one of the things we changed on the Valenta 7 when we changed the body style to match the 18 is we did away with that part in the front on the old 7 that went down like that. That took a lot of time both in manufacturing setup and in assembly. And then we were also able to make sure that all of the roasters basically are disassembled the same. We have really good access for all the parts for doing maintenance. If you need to take the hopper out for cleaning, take this front panel off, and when you take the front panel off, it does not bother the control panel. It's a separate panel. Take the lid off, take the front panel off, take this panel off right here for the dump chute, and then it's real easy to get the hopper out for cleaning. So the 12 comes with the 240 volt blower that we used on the old Artisan XE. It's got a lot of suction. The other thing that's new for the 12 is we redesigned the bean cooler and gave it more width and a larger surface, and it really helped in the cooling. Also underneath, we redesigned it and we use our airflow simulator software to design the void down underneath so it had good suction all the way across, so it cools really fast. One of the things you're going to notice on this, if you're upgrading from an Artisan roaster to one of these, on the 12 and the 18 and the 8, they roast at a much higher temperature. We'll get all the way up to 700 degrees roasting on this. It usually settles in on a full load at the end of the batch. We'll look at it, but it'll be close to 690. And one of the things we did to raise the efficiency is we raised the air pressure again in the heat chamber. The opening size is smaller in the bottom, so it's got more superheated air in a smaller area. The rotation's a little bit different. We still have the vortex of hot air in the simulation that shows the air going up and then blowing down on the top of it, so that helps speed it up too. So we're running right at 9 minutes and 40 seconds in the factory on a hot machine to 430 degree bean temperature. So that's how we sized the roaster. We actually had to work on this one for a while. We learned a lot on the little Valenta 3 over here. We applied that to the 18. We thought we totally had it dialed in, and so the first prototype we had didn't work quite as we had planned, but the nice thing about manufacturing your own equipment is you can build a new prototype the next day and make a bunch of changes. So we did about 4 changes to the roast chamber before we got it dialed in right. And like all the roasters, one of the things you want to check with your roaster when you plug it in when it's new, check your line voltage under load. That really helps us if we're troubleshooting or something, know what that is. We see a lot of people where their power gets really dirty in the middle of the summer or in the middle of the winter in the cooling and heating season, where there's a lot of demand on the power grid and the voltage drops down to 235 or below, and the machines don't like that. When they get down to 235 and below, the performance drops off really fast. Conversely, we have people that have really good hot voltage, clean power, that have 242 to 245 volts under load, and they're always asking us why we don't classify the machines as larger, because they'll actually do a larger load. And so electric roasters are a little bit sensitive in that voltage. All right, so we're coming up on first crack over here, and I can hear it in there. I'm a little hard of hearing, I can still hear it. So. Cool. So we'll be dumping them. I'll probably dump this one at about 4:30. And one of the things when you dump with all of the Valenta series of roasters, I turn off the heat when I go to dump, even if I'm doing back-to-back, hot load, just while I'm doing the dump, and then I'll turn it back on, because you have to turn the loft down. And it's really efficient. So, we have these blowers turned down to a little under half throttle when the load is hot. So we turn it down, and I will also bump the loft a couple times, look through the window and make sure all the beams are clear, and then we can lock it down and go ahead and dump in our next load. It takes, a dump and load, we time it. When we're doing it, it takes about 20 seconds if we're doing back-to-back, the dump and load. Well, we have about 10 degrees ago. One of the other things we did in the factory this year that saved a lot of time on welding is we got a new fiber laser welder, which is cool. It's like 10 times faster than what we were doing, and that really cut down the manufacturing time on the welding part of the process. So when we're doing our cyclones and internal parts, whatever, it was so fast we actually started welding things that we used to rivet because it just didn't take that long. That was really nice and much easier. All right, so we're coming up on 430 degrees. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off the heat. I'm going to open the blast gate so it'll be downdrafted when I put it in. When I'm done roasting at the end of the session, one of the things that I always do, just to be kind to my electronics in the machine, is I always leave the loft running. I'll set the loft on about 3 while it's going through its cool down, and I'll wait for it to get below 300 degrees on the dial and then shut it off. It wouldn't hurt the machine if you just shut everything off, but I always let it cool down a little bit. It keeps the heat from going into the electrical void. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that was 430 degrees. You'll be a little bit under 10 minutes on these roasts. Our factory is climate controlled to 65 degrees at a heat setting of 10. So when I'm doing full loads on almost all the machines, I don't use the Prometheus unit. I just turn it up on high and let it go. It kind of parks it in the sweet spot because that's how we size them. The cool thing with this one, it comes standard with the Prometheus unit. So you can use your computer for profiling, and what I really like using that unit for is anything smaller than a full load, because I just don't have to watch it. You don't have to adjust the heat and go in between. It kind of does that part for you. Jason got the Prometheus units version 2 or upgraded that made it easier for him to manufacture, and the components are a little bit more robust. So that comes standard with all of them. So that's it, just roasted a full load. So they're ready to order now, and we do have the show specials going on. So if you want to take advantage of that, that would be great. All right, we'll see you in the next video.